What is the crack, everyone? It's Ollie from B2B Sports here. The podcast is back. It's been several months since we last done it, I think. Uh,
Many months.
many months, but Sam is here as
As always.
always. Yeah, we just thought we'll get it back going again. We've got a little bit of free time. Now it's going into the winter months, and we thought we'd change up format a little bit. Instead of just trying to cram as much news in as possible, I just sort of picked five or six stories from the week, and we can just expand on that and maybe just go into
Yeah.
our own individual teams or whatnot. But yeah, I just thought we'd switch it up a little bit, maybe make these slightly shorter and probably a little bit more natural as well. But yeah, we'll kick it off with Vinny Jr. and the Ballon d'Or controversy. Yeah, I don't know how many of you know, but Vinny Jr. was on pace to win the Ballon d'Or. Then it came out, classic Fabrizio Romano came out and broke the story before the Ballon d'Or ceremony to say that he hadn't won it, and that him and the whole of the Real Madrid sort of team, coaching staff, etc., were going to boycott the Ballon d'Or in protest, and they didn't turn up. Rodri won it in the end, and it just turned into a bit of a farce, to be honest. So I just want to get your opinion on your thoughts on the Ballon d'Or and who was in the right and who was in the wrong, and in that kind of
I,
scenario.
I don't know. At this point, I think I'm annoyed that the news gets broken to us hours before the actual thing happens.
Yeah, 100%.
Because what's the point? For one. Two, I think Messi and Ronaldo ruined the Ballon d'Or. Not for fault of their own, but just nothing else really compares.
What in terms of their seasons, like
Yeah. You
seasons
just
they
you
used
just
to
can't.
have in terms of numbers.
I think the only one you could say is Haaland probably got robbed last year.
Last year, yeah, yeah.
Um, but Messi won it, so nobody really cares. But I mean, that was the only season on par. I mean, who scores like 50 odd goals in a season and doesn't win Ballon d'Or?
Yeah.
And I think I don't think it's bad that the fact that Rodri won it. I think he has probably been the best footballer in the year in this season, last season. Won everything,
Mhm.
played every game mostly, won almost every game anyway. I don't think you can say he wasn't deserving. I don't really feel like Vinicius was deserving in the end. I feel like his season's very odd.
Do you think? Do you think he, because he's a flair player, because
Mm.
he dribbles, he scores, he's got pace. Do you think that because in terms of his numbers, in terms of goals and assists and contributions, it wasn't the highest that we've seen, over the
Yeah.
past year. Do you think because he's a flair player that automatically, and because he plays for Real Madrid for one,
Mm.
that automatically puts him in that conversation straight away? Whereas Rodri, you've got more of a, you know, say people might, think his football style is dull in
Yeah,
comparison.
yeah, and like I'm fully up for more like different position players winning the Ballon d'Or. Like I don't mind a CDM winning the Ballon d'Or. I think there are some defenders that probably should win the Ballon d'Or. There are probably some goalkeepers that should win the Ballon d'Or. Like it's good that it's changing up a bit. It's not solely looking at just stats and the stats that mattered. I mean, like I said, Ronaldo and Messi were doing unreal things in all stats. Whereas now you're kind of you can't do that now because nobody's having those kind of seasons
Mm.
except from Haaland, obviously. But
Yeah, yeah, sure.
that's beside the point. So you have to pick it on who has been the best player, and I think Rodri probably deserves it more than anyone. I think the fact that Jude is like number three is ridiculous. I
How
don't
so?
think he's the third best player in the world.
How so? You just don't think he
I,
is?
I don't. I think he had a great start to Real Madrid. I give that to him. He had a great start to that season, last season when he joined. Um, but he's not never been as impactful as Rodri. And like you could say that, especially in the Euros, he was hardly there.
No, true. Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think the Ballon d'Or is an odd thing. I've been thinking like the bloody coach of the year was Ancelotti when Xabi Alonso's are going to be unbeaten
Well,
in
again,
season.
that's a weird one. And Emmy Martinez won the Golden Glove. I mean, well, the Golden Glove, award or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I don't think he's probably been the best goalkeeper over the past year in terms of,
Yeah.
saves and all that kind of thing. I know, he won the World Cup several years ago now, but it's, I don't know. It just seems to be. I mean, I don't know how it's voted. It's not pros, is it? It's not players. It's a panel that does the voting.
I don't know actually. I think
But I don't know what that panel consists of. Is it actual players or is it, a governing body? I don't know who it is.
yeah.
I don't know. It just seems to be some strange decisions. And again, what's your thoughts and opinions on the fact that Vinny Jr. didn't turn up and the whole
I thought he did. I thought he did turn up. I thought Vinny turned up, but the rest of them didn't.
he didn't turn up. There was a clip going around on X on Twitter
Yeah.
of him turning up, but it was last year.
Ah, okay.
It's like a troll kind of clip.
I think it's. I think it again goes into the fact that they know the result before it happens.
Yeah, what's the point?
If that wasn't there, then everyone would go.
Mm,
So I don't blame them for not going. At the end of the day, what's the point? They're not. Nobody's coming back with anything.
mm,
So there's no need to go and take time off to fly to wherever it was to pick up no trophies. So I don't particularly blame him. People say it's like disrespectful to like Rodri, and it's like at the end of the day, we knew Rodri was winning like 3 hours before it happened.
yeah,
So
that's true.
Rodri didn't need to turn up.
I mean, I don't know how these things get leaked anymore. It
Yeah.
seems like Fabrizio just seems to know everything, and like you touched on at the beginning, it spoils things. Like it spoils, the not knowing. It spoils,
Okay.
the dramatic surprise, and you're going to get more situations like this where people just don't turn up because they know they're not going
Hmm.
to win. And
Yeah,
also,
nobody's gonna turn up.
as well, it's a hell of a long ceremony. It's
Yeah,
like how many
disgusting.
hours? It's just who's going to want to
Why
sit
would you sit there for that?
6 hours? And I think the top 10 just, it went all quick all of a sudden, and the top 10 just seemed to take forever. Absolutely
Yeah,
seemed to take for ages. So, yeah, I think on my opinion, I think it's a little bit disrespectful we didn't turn up. There's part of me that can understand why he didn't.
yeah.
Rodri probably deserved it in the end. But yeah, I understand why people don't want flair plays. We've been spoilt with Ronaldo and Messi for so long, so it is
Mm,
going to seem like a bit of a dip, I suppose. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm not really feeling the Ballon d'Or. I think it's lost its touch recently.
yeah.
But yeah, that's that. The first topic out the way. Second one, we're gonna just flick between different sports. But the second one, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the F1 recently. I just wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on Max Verstappen's driving style. There's been a lot of talk about it recently. He's forced Norris off the track twice in the Mexico GP and got a 20-second penalty for two individual circumstances. I just want to know your opinions on Max and was it right? The penalties were they right?
I think the penalties were fair. That's the way it should happen. It should have happened the week before when he forced Norris off the track there.
Yep.
I think the only reason they gave the penalties to Norris is because Norris overtook him in it. Um, there just needs to be more consistency. I don't think it's difficult. I think Verstappen is defending towards an inch of his life because his car's not fast enough at the moment.
No.
Um, and he's probably going a bit too far. But I mean, Michael Schumacher crashed into somebody to make himself win the world championship. People have done this for years. So it's not surprising, I don't think.
No.
When you're at the top and you're defending, you'll do anything to do it. And if that means like your teammate, if they don't finish a race, and you can crash out or nicely, then that's an option, unfortunately, and you get a penalty for it. But you're never going to get disqualified from unless you do something really really bad. But
Continue.
um, yeah, people use the rules to their advantage, and yeah, getting a 20-second penalty was fine because it basically meant that Norris wasn't going to catch up with Sainz or Leclerc until the very end.
Yeah.
So he didn't do that much to hurt his chances.
That's been a little bit naughty though, do you not think? Like because
Yeah.
he must know in the back of his mind if he defends this hard, he's eventually going to stop Lando from grabbing the win, which means
Mm.
less points, which means Lando's not going to catch up to him. So there is
Yeah.
there is definitely that aspect of, I'm not going to let you
100%.
pass it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, in my opinion, I think that's what any of the races would do. I don't think there's anyone that would behave that much differently. Um, and I think they said before the race, Lando has to average about 12 points a race to be able to overtake
Gotcha. Yeah.
Verstappen. And I think he only got 10 from this race.
You got 10, yeah. There's
Right? I,
four races left, and two of those have got sprint races, so obviously more points
yeah,
for grabs. Can he do it? You think he's like 47 points behind? Do you think it's possible?
yeah.
What do you think? Do you
I
think?
mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, they've got one of the fastest. The only problem is the Ferraris they seem to have caught some
Honestly,
pace recently.
unreal, man.
So that's the only problem I see McLaren having, is that they may not be able to get those 1-2s because Ferrari just hit some form.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but if Ferrari do what they normally do and just then
Stretch.
they discover some form and then they lose it instantly. If they do that, then I think he definitely has a chance, because he should be able to qualify a bit faster than Verstappen. But it's difficult. I mean, this season has been really good. I think it's the first season since like the 80s where we've had six multiple race winners,
Yeah, that's right.
six different multiple race winners, which is quite cool, I think.
It's very cool. I mean, Sainz won the Mexican Grand Prix in the end. I think he had a great weekend, all in all, and
Mm.
deserved it. It's even more weird that he's going to Williams.
Mm.
I just can't wrap my head around it.
It
Multiple
doesn't make
races
any sense.
Ferrari, and he's going to Williams. I know that they're on the uptake. I know James Vowles is probably going to turn them around, but probably not turn them around enough to compete for the championship. So yeah, I do rate Sainz. I think he's a very good driver, and like you said, the Ferrari car at the minute is just on fire, and Lewis Hamilton must be wishing and hoping that this
Yeah.
continues up until next season. I do want to touch on Checo Perez as well, because he had an absolute stinker, and not for the first time this
Very
season.
bad.
How on earth does he have a race seat at Red Bull
I don't know.
still?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't even say in terms of Red Bull and like the sponsorships they get from the Mexican Grand Prix, having Perez as their driver, they get a lot of money through that, and I don't know. Feel like that's just too much to give away. Just get a different driver and get the points, because they're now third in the driver in the constructors. Like, that's awful for when you have somebody who's leading the championship. For your other driver to be so bad and getting
Like
points.
they were flying at the start of the season. Everyone thought it's going to be another, Red Bull domination kind of season, and it's just turned around so dramatically, and it's sad, but it's solely down to Checo. The fact
Yeah.
that they're not number one, number two in the
Mm.
constructors, like his performances have been that bad. But it's just he's single-handedly dragging them down.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing at the end of the
They
day.
even
It's
they
embarrassing.
even changed the tyres at the end of the race so he could take the fastest lap, and he didn't do it.
He didn't do it. Leclerc got it, and
Yeah.
I don't think it was close as well. Uh,
No.
I know that the Checo Perez defenders are going to say, "Oh, he picked up a little bit of damage when he had a collision with Lawson," but still, it just doesn't help the narrative, I don't think.
No.
But yeah, going back to Max Verstappen, I think the first instance where he pushed Lando off the track, it wasn't ideal, but the second one to me was the bad one. He just sort of dive bombed into Lando's
Yeah.
heat of the moment, saw red. I think that's what you're gonna get with Max, and Lewis has experienced it many a time before in the 2021 season. And Lewis is probably quite glad actually he's just sort of not in it, not in it at the moment, and just sort
Oh,
of
definitely.
the bystander. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, that's F1. It's Man United, Chelsea this weekend. Uh, both teams have been on a bit of a roller coaster journey this season. We're going to start with you, Sam, straight away. Let's run through Man United's dramatic season. They're managerless at the moment. What's going to happen with that one?
I mean, it's difficult. We've had a very tough season so far. Um, but going from yesterday's results, absolutely it's turned it around already.
Yep.
Going to win the league. 6 goals in the first half, 4 of them from United, and I don't know. I think it was the right thing to do in sacking Ten Hag. I feel bad for him because I don't think it's fully his fault, but our players just haven't wanted to play. But I do think we need something a bit different. He hasn't quite got the right tactics for us or anything like that. And I think the FA Cup win just bought him time. I think he would have been sacked then if he hadn't won. And I think that was a fair thing to do. In order, like, he won a trophy in both his years at the club. I mean, that's pretty good.
The writing's been on the wall for a while, hasn't it? Let's be
Yeah.
real. It has.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not surprised. Yeah, Nick Van Nistelrooy getting a good win last night, albeit against Leicester, some of Leicester reserves, but I'll take it. I mean,
New manager bounce.
Casemiro,
Yeah.
Casemiro's scoring an absolute screamer. All the players looking like they're having a good time. I mean, Xerxes would still look shit, but that's not the point. But yeah, hopefully they think obviously looking at the Sporting Lisbon manager, which I think sounds pretty good by all recollection. He seems like a good manager. He's won 2 titles at Sporting since being there since like 2019, I think. But he also seems quite brutal. I think I was looking at BBC Sport, and there was things saying the first club he ever managed, he lost his first 2 games. So he openly said, like, if I don't win, if I don't get a result on this third one, I'll quit.
Wow.
He ended up winning that game and then going unbeaten for the rest of the season.
Damn. That's pretty
So
cool.
that's quite a cool thing. He's quite young. I think that'll help. I think, but I also think his mentality will help. He seems to take no shit, and I think he's always said. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if it's taking the piss saying yes, I'll sign for you, but I want to coach the next 2 games first, and I'll join you in the international break.
National break, yeah, that's what he said.
I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. It just seems weird, and fair enough. I don't get it. Either you want to join us now, or you don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
fully understand being respect, and we've been respectful to Sporting, and like you want to end on good terms, and but at the same time, it's just weird. I find it weird that you'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go in 2 games.
Yeah, I suppose it's a little bit odd. I suppose we're used to managers coming in straight away and no fuss. I mean, it's going to be weird because Ruud van Nistelrooy is going to know that it's only
Yeah,
literally like a 2 or 3 game kind of deal.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a little bit odd. I think he'll be a good manager for you. I can't predict the future though because everyone said that about Ten Hag. It seems
yeah.
to ever since ever since Alex Ferguson at United, there seems to be just a revolving door of managers that might win a cup here or there, but you've never reached those heights since.
No,
And it's been a bit of a revolving door of managers, and he's got messy at times. And yeah, seems like you're a little bit cursed in a minute, to be honest with you.
a little bit. We do have a bit of a manager's curse at the moment. Like you said, I mean, pretty much we won 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons. I can't be too mad at that,
Not be mad.
to be
I don't think
honest.
any United fan really thought they were going to beat City in the FA Cup last year.
No,
Like
that was ridiculous.
that was such a good performance, and fair play to you for that one. So yeah, I mean, you can't knock Ten Hag on that.
Yeah.
Um,
But getting it right on one day rather than trying to get it right throughout the season is very different. But
yeah,
yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, we can turn our season around and get into the top 6.
I think goals have been a massive thing for you. You've struggled to
Mm,
score.
yeah,
Had the right service either. Rashford's fell off the cliff. Hoyland doesn't look quite ready at the moment. Neither does Xerxes.
there's
Uh,
Hoyland's still injured a bit, so
yeah,
he's just
but
coming back, mate. He's great. Hoyland's the future.
But the chances that he's had, yeah, I don't know. I'm not knocking him. He's a young lad, and I think he'll grow just like Jackson. You know, everyone knocks Jackson, but he's
He's
got
shut.
potential. How dare you, mate? Jackson's the new Drogba, man.
Oh, that is the worst take I've heard. The new Drogba. Jesus Christ.
He's a new job. I'm pretty happy of the season that Chelsea have had so far. Enzo's Maresca's got him playing pretty well. Little bit sketchy at the back here and there. He likes to play very sort of risky football out from the back, and Robert Sanchez is not the keeper for that. Absolutely that. So the new a new keeper, the better. And same with a couple of defenders, Badiashile and Disasi have disappointed.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I'm pretty pleased with how we've done. We look like in the European competitions, the Carabao Cup, we got knocked out yesterday. We won't talk about that. But the other competitions, we're playing a completely different starting 11. It's mad. Like, it's mad. Who makes 11 changes in a new
Yeah.
competition? Crazy.
It's insane.
The squad depth is there. And I'm
The squad
pleased.
depth is, yeah. But in order to play a whole new 11, like, that's weird. It's basically having an A team and a B team.
It's mad. It's crazy. It's strange. It's a strange, even for me, it's strange to get used to.
Yeah.
And I simply think the way it's working at the minute is because we're having a lot of European, Conference League games. We're having,
Yeah.
the cup runs and stuff at the minute. So there is
Okay.
there is an even rotation, and it's working
Yeah.
because I think I saw a stat just before we started doing this podcast that Chelsea at the moment have the least amount of injuries in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Whereas last year we were up there with United and Liverpool for the most.
Yeah.
So this rotation's working. I think
Mm.
keeping Cole Palmer fit is an absolute necessity because
It is.
he's
The
unreal.
only, he's the only person that can do anything for you.
Unreal. Did you see that pass at the weekend against
Yeah.
Newcastle? Absolutely
Ridiculous.
unreal. The guy just plays football at his own pace. He seems to know where everyone is at the pitch at the same time, and he's doing these little Burkamp flicks round defenders at the moment, and it's just, mate,
I don't think he meant that one. I'm going
no,
to put
no,
that out there.
he
I
did.
don't think he meant that.
I've seen people on Twitter saying, "No, he
He
didn't."
did not mean that.
He meant it, mate. He meant it. He's done it a couple of
Definitely
times
didn't.
since as well. He's a little
Sure.
trademark,
Sure.
man. Little
Sure.
trademark. But
Need
yeah,
to
Cole
lose more with the
Palmer.
new Drogba.
Cole Palmer is absolutely out of this world. And come the weekend, he could be the difference maker.
But it
Um,
was last time.
yeah, he was last time.
And
Yeah,
I think we were spoilt last time with an absolute mental game where we were like 3-1 up,
yeah,
and then we
it
ended
was
up losing 4-3.
crazy. That was at
Like the
Stamford
90th
Bridge.
minute.
That was
Yeah.
at Stamford Bridge, but we haven't beaten United at Old Trafford since 2013, mate.
2013.
We haven't beaten you boys at Old Trafford since 2013.
Wow, that was the last time we had Alex Ferguson.
So, so it's big. Come on, this is big. We've got
Right.
to end
It's
this.
gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going.
We've got to end
Keep
this
the streak
streak.
alive. Keep the streak alive.
So yeah, that's quite a terrifying stat, to be honest with you. But how do you see it going? How do you see the game going?
I think it's just unpredictable. We can very easily have a 0-0 because we've had so many of those. I mean, one of the reasons we're unbeaten at home in what 11 years is because we just don't score. And it's just the most boring game.
No, no.
But no, I think there's going to be goals. I think there'll be quite a few goals,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
three or four goals, because both our defenses are shit.
Seems to be
Uh,
it seems to be the way forward with Chelsea in a minute. It just seems to be trying to outscore the opponent. So
yeah,
I'm here for you on that one.
yeah.
It's gonna be a tough ask. New manager bounce. I have no idea. I have no idea. I'd like to favour Chelsea just purely based on Premier League
Because you
form.
support them.
Yeah, and because I support them, of course. But that stat is worrying me. I'm gonna go a 2-1 Chelsea win. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
3-0 United.
Come off it, mate. Come off it.
I
This
mean,
clip's going out on Twitter if that happens.
4-2 United. I'll give you a couple. But we'll score an extra one just for that.
Right then, we move. Are the Minnesota Vikings frauds, Sam?
Yes,
Are they? Do you think so?
yes. They're gonna be the only team to twice be 5-0 and miss the playoffs.
I mean, that stat is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. 2016 it happened. The
Mm,
Vikings 5-0, and they didn't make the playoffs. I think they finished 8-8 or something in the end. Yeah, 5-0 start, lost two on the bounce. Arguably, one
mm.
was a narrow last second loss to Detroit, so I'll take that
Yeah,
one.
that's a fine loss because the Lions are insane,
The Lions,
and you only just lost.
yeah, so close, so close.
Yeah,
Just ran out of time,
yeah,
simply. So fair play. The Lions are incredible. Last week, not so much against
no,
the Rams. No one expected Puka and Cooper Cup to be back in that game, so their offense looked totally different to
yeah.
what it did at the start of the season. But yeah, we just couldn't get anything going.
Your defense looks ridiculous. It's awful.
Defense looks
Just it's so slow.
horrid. It kind of seems like Brian Flores' sort of blitz defense has got found out a little bit. They just kept
Mm,
targeting Puka. I think he had over 100 yards in the game on the day. And yeah, it just looks slow, sluggish, coming off the bye as well.
yeah,
Um, just, just yeah, wasn't good. Wasn't good. So yeah, we look totally different to what we did at the start of the season, and we need to fix up sharp. But we've
yeah.
got we've got
Because the
Hawkins.
rest of that NFC North is stacked.
Oh man, the NFC North is just crazy. You've obviously got the Detroit Lions, which are probably the best team in the whole of the NFC, NFL at the moment. And then you've got the Packers who are playing incredibly well. You've got the Bears who are also really good. We'll talk about that crazy Hail Mary play in a minute. But yeah, the North is so stacked, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. So the Vikings have got to be on their A game. We've got the Colts this weekend coming up, Sunday night football. So again, another prime time game. But yeah, I think Hawkinson coming back is going to be a massive boost, especially to Sam
Mm,
Darnold, because he'll have a target over the middle. But like, where's Addison gone? Addison's gone
yeah.
missing. Like he's just
So my partner's going to the New England. That's why.
yeah. Shut up! I'm not believing that for a second. Not unless you give us Gonzalez at the corner.
You're
Um,
not giving up. You are best player. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous statement.
But the Vikings had, Christian Darrisaw, should I say, go down injured in the game last week. He's a massive miss for the Vikings. A huge
Mm,
left tackle that helps protect Sam Darnold. So I think we got Cam Robinson from the Jags, and I don't think the Vikings are done yet. I think they might go again because the trade deadline is Tuesday next week, I believe. So I
mm,
think we might look for a defensive end, someone that can just sort of block the run game up a little bit and get a bit
yeah.
more pressure to the QB. So I don't think the Vikings are done yet. But yeah, we'll see. What about the Pats, Sam? How's their season going so far?
I mean, to be honest, things are pretty chill with the Pats at the moment.
2-6.
Zero expectations. Yeah, zero expectations this year. Very much in our rebuilding phase. Beat the Bengals, great. First game season. Then kind of 5 weeks of not looking too good. 6 weeks of not looking too good. Get Drake May in, start playing some good football, scoring points but still losing. And then we play the Jets. Good rivalry. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers playing for a Jets team that are unbelievably shit for what they should be. And somehow we managed to get a win. I think I'm trying to remember the stat, but I think we were held to less than 200 or 250 yards. Um, we They held us to less than 25 points. I think the last time all that kind of happened well, every time that's happened in a game, the team who've held them to that has won. The Jets is the first team that's lost. It's like
Just
750. It's like 750 to 1 is the win loss ratio for that.
just sums up
But
the
it's,
Jets this season, doesn't it? They've been
yeah,
awful. They've been
yeah. but we had Drake May get knocked out or
Mm.
helmet to helmet contact, and then he was out for the game. So get thingy back in.
Reset. Reset.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett back in, and he somehow couldn't do it all season, but when he was starter, but leads a 2 minute drill, length of the field, last second touchdown, lead them having to throw like a Hail Mary. It was awesome, so good.
You text me, didn't you, saying this red zone is crazy, right?
Honestly, because the same time he was throwing that touchdown, the Colts like fumble recovered for a touchdown that then got brought back. There was like a last minute field goal by Arizona. It was all going off. It was like a triple box, and it was kicking off. But yeah, we're 2-6. We've got the Titans this weekend on Sunday, which is a bit of a number one pick in the
Hey,
draft
it's the big one, mate.
competition.
It's the
It's the
big
big
one.
one.
It's the game for the number one pick.
Yeah, because I think we're 2-6. I think they're 1-5 or something. And
Yeah.
they've played one less game, and they've had a bye week. So, yeah. I'm just happy with anything at the moment. We've started scoring some points, great, and we won last week, so I'm quite happy.
They could have done you a favour and won in London when we went to see him, though, Sam, to be fair.
It would have been nice, yes.
They started off so well
Um,
as well. And then it
Honestly, first drive, score a touchdown, and then don't get anywhere near the end zone for like 3.5 more quarters, and then I'll come back and score a touchdown at the end. That's fun. So yeah, it was that was interesting, but no, I'm quite happy with our season. I think it's as good as I could expect.
But yeah, I want to talk about the Jets because they are so bad.
Yeah,
How can they be that bad? Aaron Rodgers continues to do Aaron Rodgers things. He's
yeah,
got his best mate number one, Devontae Adams, brought him over. I don't know how on earth he's managed to blackmail him to do that.
yeah.
Uh, they're just so bad. They're so bad. Robert Saleh
Awesome.
got fired a few weeks into the season. They've got an interim head coach at the moment, which just seems to be a massive mess. The whole
Robert Sala, who they're paying 20 grand a day
is that how much
still.
this whole experiment seems to just be a complete and utter
Yes.
disaster. Yeah, what are your thoughts on it? Like,
I think this is helping Tom Brady's image, which
yeah,
I'm enjoying
yeah.
because I mean forever it's been like, oh, Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is actually the better passing, better. It's like, but he's just proven that he can't still do it at the
And also,
moment.
it's also proven that Tom Brady, it was even more special how Tom Brady did it into his 40s.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is completely lost a step, and Achilles injury doesn't help, but he
Oh,
hasn't got it anymore. He just hasn't got that mobility anymore.
no, it's ridiculous. And I'm surprised, to be honest. I mean, they have a stacked team. They've got a great running back. They've got great wide receivers.
Yeah,
Uh,
mad right
their defense is pretty stacked, and it's just they just can't get it going. It's um it's stunning to watch because I mean, as a rival of the Patriots, I'm very happy with it. And also not really liking Aaron Rodgers anymore. I'm very happy with it again. I think somebody tweeted Aaron Rodgers is the Jets are doing us a favor by still employing Aaron Rodgers because it's stopping him from retiring and making a podcast and having to talk and putting his views like more out there. Which I thought was a great take.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. You just know that the podcast would be some weird conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
psychedelic kind of nonsense.
And
But
I'm sure it's still yet to come. So
yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I think he came out again in the week in an interview somewhere saying that we need to be scoring 30 points a game, but they've yet to do that all season. We're in
yeah,
week 8 right now, whatever it is. And yeah, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And the fact that he's brought all of his buddies back over to for to play with, and yet
mm,
it's still not worked out. I can see him just sort of riding off into the sunset this season.
yeah. And
I
I
wouldn't
don't
be
see why.
surprised if he just requests to get for a trade if they continue to and continue to buckle.
No, it's quite. I mean, they play the Texans tonight at home. That's their game. So we'll see if they
Must
prove
win.
us all wrong.
It's a must win. Talking about the Bears earlier, I just want to touch on the Hail Mary play from Jaden Daniels in the last second of the game. I watched it live on the Sky Sports coverage. I couldn't believe what I'd witnessed. I text you straight away saying this.
Uh,
It's been a long time since I've seen a successful Hail Mary play, and the nature of it was just hilarious. The way it was just tipped back up into the air, and then just the receiver
yeah,
just there waiting for it on his own.
he was just there. And I think it was quite a clever play from him, just to be slightly back from that group, just so he can try and catch anything that gets tipped. Yeah, unreal. And the Washington Commanders are on an insane streak right now. They're 6-2. Yeah, they're one of the best teams in football at the moment, which is insane because new coach, new quarterback. They don't really have any right to be this good.
No, not at all.
Like they've got a great running back. Their quarterback seems to be fitting into the league pretty well. Good. I wouldn't say amazing wide receiver. Like Terry McLaughlin is great, but apart from that, they've just got a good team.
Yeah, very good. All round,
And
very
I
good.
think so. I think they're kind of the shock of the season for me at the moment. They're leading their division, highly likely to make the playoffs, and yeah, I'm very excited about the Commanders, which is weird.
Jaden Daniels is proving who the real top quarterback of the draft was, really.
Yeah, so far.
Against Caleb Williams, and he
We're still waiting to see what Drake May's like, but it's fine.
still waiting, mate. We'll move. England cricket team. Are they just fast track bullies, mate? Can they do it on a spinny subcontinent pitch?
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Apparently not. It was a disappointing series victory, a series defeat to Pakistan after such a strong start, mate. How mad was
Yeah,
that first test as well? Crazy.
yeah. Honestly, like biggest score we've ever seen from an England team. Um, just total control, and then having very little control for the rest of the whole series. Like starting off really well, like being 200 for two, and then being 270 for eight. It's just
Collapse, mate.
those collapses that we've kind of become. I think the one thing about this baseball is we have become synonymous with collapses at the
Oh yeah,
moment.
absolutely.
So and I think one thing I think it's a good thing because when we get to our collapse, normally we've scored relatively a few runs. So I think that's a good thing about baseball. But the problem is when we do have that first innings where we have a collapse and we maybe are behind or needing to catch up, our next innings we don't particularly change.
No,
That mentality is still there. I'm not sure that works when you're behind as much. The odd time it will work is like your games against India when we had to try and get like 350 odd, or against Australia when it's like down to Stokes and Leach. You get those odd games, and yes, those games are extremely exciting, but you get these ones where we can't get their last batter out for like a whole day almost. It's just disappointing, and to be honest, the fact that they've come out of this series and then picked up was it Bethel for the next test series? He's not played any red ball cricket. Like, where is the logic there? When we have a plethora
we have
of red ball cricket players in England, because our county championship we have great players, but don't even get anywhere near a sniff at this team. And yeah, I find it very hard to be sympathetic towards them when
it is strange. I think
things
baseball
like that
is
happen.
baseball's so just divides opinion so much, doesn't it? Everyone loves baseball when it's working. I just think we all want baseball to be I don't know, just a little bit more switched on. I mean, some of the
Yeah,
shots they were playing when the
yeah,
ball's turning so much,
running down the pitch.
differential in bounce. Sometimes it bounced, really high. Sometimes it came
Mm,
low, and we just seem to just run down the pitch and just try and knock it out the park. Just play with a little bit of, just with your brain a little.
yeah,
I know it's
yeah.
difficult conditions and all that, and you're playing on a pitch that's basically been used twice. But yeah, it was the lack of just I don't know, it's the lack of using your brain that
Makes
was
sense. Yeah.
the sense that just annoyed me. And fair play to
Mm,
I think the one Pakistani spinner in particular just cleaned up, and
yeah.
fair play to him for that one. But it was disappointing. It was disappointing, and I think England have always got that question mark over them about playing in the subcontinent in,
Yeah.
in in those kind of conditions. And I think it was the perfect opportunity to sort of quieten those critics a little bit. And it started off so well, didn't end so well.
No.
They are playing in the West Indies at the minute, aren't they? In an ODI series, I think currently.
Yeah, I think that starts today, actually.
Yeah, the ODI was on. I think England were 100 on something for four,
Have a look. They are 200 for 8.
200 for eight.
There we
Ideal,
go.
ideal.
There we go. Um, Top scorer at the moment was Liam Livingston with 48. Nobody's hit, with only two other players hitting more than 20.
Right.
Phil Salt with 18. Will Jacks with 19. Cox with 17. Bethel was 27. Can't wait for him to play for our test team. Livingston with 48. Curran with 37. And now we're just down to Rashid and Jofra Archer in.
Uh, yeah,
That's what you want.
not ideal. Less than 250 then.
Yeah.
England have got a test series with New Zealand coming up. I think it's mid to late November in New
Mm.
Zealand, so that'll be interesting to see how they get on there.
New
Um,
Zealand team would just beat India in India.
Very convincingly as well.
The first time in like 12 years.
They look really good as well at the minute. Uh,
Mm.
Again, India performances were very up and down.
Yeah.
Got bowled out for 46. Was it
Yeah.
the first test or second test? Can't
Yeah.
remember.
First test.
First test. Yeah, so they're struggling as well at the minute. But yeah, England cricket, ups and downs, mate. Ups and downs, as always.
Typical.
Just thought we would end the podcast on Nadal retiring. We haven't spoken, well, we haven't recorded a podcast since Nadal announced his retirement. I just thought I'd get your opinion because the Davis Cup is coming up. I think it's in a couple of weeks' time, and that he's going to be his last tournament. So I just want to get your thoughts and opinions on where he stacks up against the greats in the game.
I mean, it's hard to say that he's definitely got a. He could definitely be called the greatest of all time, I think. Um, he is obviously not won as many as Djokovic.
Mhm.
He's obviously, but his record is insane. Like the amount of Grand Slams he's missed compared to the others, but yet still has 22 of them. The fact he was so dominant on clay, like he only lost 4 games at Roland Garros,
That's mad.
four matches, which is insane. Like that doesn't even compute. Um, the fact that he did the Channel Slam, I don't know how many times as well. No, two times. He only won Wimbledon twice, I think. So, 2 times, but like winning 14 Roland Garros titles is ridiculous. His rivalry with Federer, I mean, his rivalry with Djokovic was bigger. He had played more matches against Djokovic, but his rivalry with Federer was just, it felt different
Yeah.
for some reason. That was just, they were the two biggest players. And yeah, it's sad to see him kind of have to retire. I think his injuries
What's the retire, really?
unfortunately got better and wants to retire. It'd be good to see him at the Davis Cup. He's won the Davis Cup, what, 5 times? I think
Mm.
that was the first big tournament that he actually won with anyone because like he wasn't. I don't think he was meant to play in that first Davis Cup, but somebody got injured and he came in and he was playing they were playing the US. Like Andy Roddick, who was like #1 in the world
Yeah.
at the time. They were, Agassi was also playing, and they beat them. This Spanish team with this 17-year-old Nadal. So he absolute like specimen, that man. He is he is one of a kind, and um, I think we're seeing him a bit more like in Alcaraz. I think they're
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
similar kinds of players. So I just hope that Alcaraz has a similar kind of career to that, and very enjoying. We'll enjoy seeing them. And I think they'll play probably doubles together. They
Oh
might
yeah.
play doubles for the Davis Cup, but I'm not sure.
It's just mad. I think to me, Nadal, I would always remember the Nadal Federer Wimbledon final. I think it was like 2008, was it? 2008?
2008, I think. Yeah,
And it was going dark, and just remember that it just stands out as one of the biggest, well, one of
yeah,
the best sporting finals of my childhood that I've witnessed. So that was just
yeah,
crazy, and just I find it remarkable how he was so dominant on clay. Like, no, he was
yeah,
untouchable. Like, why?
yeah.
Why was that? Why was he so dominant on clays? Because he could just the spin of the ball, and I don't know what it
Hmm.
was, but I find that remarkable how he was so dominant in
Yeah.
one surface, essentially.
I think he was just he just played. He just knew that surface so well. It fitted his style of play, the amount of spin he was able to produce with his shots, but also because he was so quick, he could, and with Clay being a bit slower, like he could get to everything. Like
Yeah,
you can get past him, and the angles that he could produce with on that court is second to none.
real.
Yeah, unreal.
Like you said, Djokovic has got the most titles, and he still might get a couple more. He's not finished playing yet, but I think many people might regard Nadal as the GOAT, or even Federer in that instance. But I think, yeah, I think
Mm.
because of how dominant he was in one particular service, I think, and the way he played, I think many people might sort of class him above the rest. We'll
Yeah,
see
he
when it's all
definitely
said
could.
and done. But yeah,
Oh yeah. To be fair, I think at this point, when people say greatest of all time in tennis, they're going to have to say all three of them together. There's
true,
no way you can't.
true that.
You can. Yeah, Djokovic might now be getting to winning pretty much everything you could ever win, but in terms of those three and the dominance they had, um, yeah, unmatchable,
Unmatched.
unbeatable. Um, and then next on the list is Andy Murray. So
Go on, Andy, mate.
it's the fact that he could be up there with them for so long as well. Unreal.
Yeah, it's crazy because if he was brought up in a different era, you'd see probably many more titles to his
He would
name.
have won way more. I mean, he lost to the Australian Open final like five times.
Mm.
Lost the French Open title once. He lost Wimbledon once or twice. Trying to think how many times he got to finals. He was lost Wimbledon. Lost the US Open like a couple of times. He could have won like 11 Grand Slams, I think, in the end if he'd won all of them. Um, so I think the fact that he had to play Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer was just a bit of a ball ache, really.
I think it speaks
But
volumes as
yeah,
well that they always mention him as well. They always mention
yeah,
him, you know, oh yeah, I played in a great era of Federer and Nadal, and they always mention Murray because they know how competitive he
Hmm.
was, and how good of a player he was on his day. But yeah, that about wraps it up. It's the first podcast back in a long time. I hope you enjoyed the new format. Probably a little bit shorter than usual as well, and hopefully we'll
Yeah,
do these a little bit more often. Once a month or something like that. So
yeah.
try and stick
Bit more
to
often than we have done it recently.
that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching and listening, and we'll catch you again next time in a bit.
In a bit.